Hey, Breaking Brown family. Um, I come to you today with a bit of a heavy heart. And it's not because of anything that has necessarily happened to me, anything negative that's happened to me per se, in terms of, debilitation or anything like that. Those of you who follow me on Facebook know that I posted a story early this morning from a former subscriber who said to me that I should be ashamed of myself for actually supporting something which I think would be in the, it's not what I think, which the data shows would be in the economic best interest of African American people. If you remember, those of you all who remember a few weeks ago I did an immigration story. I did a story on immigration, I did a show on immigration. And we talked about the data. We talked about what the data says in terms of African American employment, how the data correlates to black incarceration, especially black male incarceration. We had that conversation. And since that time, I've had people threaten me. I've had people inbox me and tell me that they would no longer support my page or my site. I've had people come to me and say, well, if I see you on the street, I'm gonna punch you. I've had people block me. I've had people unfriend me. I had to block someone who said I was a miserable woman for saying what I said. And I say all that to say, today I came across another article. I read it yesterday and I got in depth with it this morning. It's an article from Chicago. It's from Illinois. I think it was reported in the Chicago Tribune. And the story is about the role immigration, illegal immigrants, illegal workers in that community, the role that they play in terms of African American employment, especially African American male employment. Now, you say, well, Yvette, what's the problem? Well, let me tell you. The company's name is, let me spell the company's name right. The company's name is Personnel Staffing Group, which does business under MVP Staffing. That's the name of the company in Illinois, where African American men have basically filed a discrimination lawsuit. The African American men in that company say that they are, I'm sure there are, I'm not saying that there are, no African American women, I'm not sure, but it's mostly men because that's the kind of jobs we're talking about. And they have said that the company, MVP Staffing, discriminates. That's what they're alleging, that the company discriminates against African American men in favor of Hispanic workers. That's what they're saying. Now, here's my issue. Here's my issue. And let me just break down to you exactly all of their allegations before I get deep into my issue with this temp staffing company. If you all know, I don't know whether you know or not, but the temp agencies right now are booming because they keep saying that the recession is over. You hear Obama say, we've added so many new jobs. We've added so many new jobs to the economy. What he never tells you is what kind of jobs have been added to the economy. These have not been good paying jobs. These have not been jobs that you can use to actually feed your family. I saw a good statistic the other day that said that half of Americans could qualify for food stamps, although most don't. Although most don't go and apply for food stamps, right? So this is the economy that we have, which means that we now have a bunch of temporary workers. And we now have a bunch of temporary agencies because you don't have the same protections when you work for a temporary company. So just to give you a bit of framing, that's where we are, okay? So the MVP staffing is the people who filed the lawsuit are alleging that people were directed not to send African American workers to the job sites. Don't send the African Americans here. And what they're alleging happened is that they had code names. So okay, let's go through the code names. Guapos were pretty African American men who didn't want to work. Okay? That's who guapos were. That was the code for that. Fios were the dirty ones. Fios. Bilinguals were bilinguals. Los que escuchan la ley, referring to people who speak Spanish, who listen to Spanish language radio, was used to refer to Spanish language workers, right? So you say, send me someone who listens to Spanish language radio. Who's that going to be? It's going to be a Hispanic worker. That's who it's going to be. So they were using code words to basically discriminate and say, allegedly, that I don't want any black workers here. I don't want any black laborers here. Now, this is the problem with saying that the consumer is always right. Because what they do, we have laws against discrimination in this country. We have laws against that. But that doesn't matter in terms of what these companies were doing. It doesn't matter in terms of what they were allegedly getting away with. And it doesn't stop there. You know, and here's something that I really want to get across. In terms of immigration, I hear a lot of people saying, well, you know, black people, we should be further along and we don't have to worry about the jobs of Hispanics because that's not something that we have to deal with. Well, again, sort of not true. And I'll tell you why it's not true. The unemployment rate, we're talking about the unemployment rate in Illinois, is for African Americans is triple that of white people and double that of Hispanics. Our unemployment rate, the unemployment rate of African Americans in Illinois is triple that of white people and double that of Hispanics. What does that tell you? That tells you that it's like the thing that I keep talking about, the 228 years. It's going to take 228 years for black people to reach white people, but only take Hispanics or Latinos 84 years or 82. That tells you that we've been the richest country in the world for how long, and we're still behind. But I'm not done. Because what we need to understand in terms of this, let me just get off my list for a second and say this. If you don't have a job, the one thing you need is an entry point for a job. It's just like wealth. If you don't have wealth, what is your entry point to gain wealth? What is your entry point? How do you get wealth if you don't have wealth, right? If you don't have a parent that's going to do an in vitro transfer or going to leave you inheritance, how do you get wealth? Well, the same thing applies. The same thing applies when we talk about access to a job. If you don't have a job, how do you get access to a job? A lot of ways that regular, ordinary black people get access to jobs is through a temp agency. I've known a lot of friends in my life who've gone to a temp agency, and then what happens when they go to the temp agency is the temp agency keeps them if they like them. Or the temp agency gives them a few more days of work. Or the temp agency is like, it's this guy here. He's a really good worker. But if you're not getting black people through the door, that can't happen. So we don't have an entryway. And there was one story in the article. And Iram, if you can, pull up the Chicago clip if you can. But there was one story in the article which was really important. You had a black guy saying, I get up at 4 or 5 a.m. I get up at 4 or 5 in the morning. And what happens when I get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., I put on my steel-toed boots. And I go down here. I put on my steel-toed boots and I come down to the temp agency looking for work. That's what I do. I'm looking for work. I sit there and looking for work. And you know what he said? You know what he said happens? He said, when you come there at first, it's a mix. It's like a mix of black and brown people. It's like a mix of African Americans and Latinos. But after that, after a little while, what he said happens is that it's all black. It's just all black people waiting for jobs. So he says, I go, and I don't ever get called. I don't ever get called to go into work. I watch the white people I watch Hispanics get sent off to these work sites, but I don't get called. And then they said it's more complicated than that. They said a lot of the reasons you don't get called is because the people there, a lot of the managers of these places or these work sites are Hispanic. And they don't want to work with African Americans. They don't want to work for African American men. So they'll tell the people, I don't really want to, I would rather speak Spanish. I don't really want to deal with African American man. I don't really want, that's not what I want. Send me somebody who listens to Spanish language radio. It's just like if you talk to people who live in LA, a lot of them will say, Los Angeles, they'll say, listen, a lot of the jobs around here say you have to be bilingual. Well, what does it mean if you are African American living there and you're not bilingual? Then that means that you don't have a job opportunity. That means that we're having places in America where African Americans live and have a history of living, and this is our country just as much as anybody else's. And you say that, and so we don't have a way to make a living. We can't even the Latinos, the Latinos, Hispanics have it to where we can't even do what we need to do in terms of feeding ourselves. So my question, I don't understand how this is good. I don't understand how this is beneficial to our economic interests, and that's what I want to focus on. I don't want to focus on, well, what's fair, what the moral obligation is, and who we have to take care of. I mean, listen to this guy. He says a lot of black people are just sitting there, mad that they can't find work. And then he says it's uncomfortable that a lot of the Spanish language, a lot of the Spanish, when they go and work with Hispanic people, because they're speaking a language and you feel like they're talking about you behind your back. That's what he said. Go read the article. So he said, it feels like everyone is talking in Spanish. And then you had the testimony. What really got me was the testimony. You had the testimony from this is one MVP employee named Rosa Ceja. Rosa Ceja testified that she had been yelled at by companies for sending African Americans. They don't want to hire you. They don't want to hire black men, especially. They don't want to hire us. So is this, and let me ask you a question. Is the Hispanic manager who doesn't want to hire African Americans, is he your ally? I'm just asking, because one of the things I've been deluged with as of late is people telling me, Yvette, all people of color are allies, or all minorities are allies. Well, I don't want to deal with these catchphrases anymore. Tell me specifically, is this person your ally? If he's telling you he doesn't want to hire African Americans because he wants to speak Spanish, and most African Americans, day laborers, don't speak Spanish, and that's really just a code word anyway for wanting Hispanic people. Even if you spoke Spanish, I bet you wouldn't get hired. But is he your ally? Like, tell me what ally means. And are all these people at these work sites, are they fighting on behalf of African American people? Are they fighting on behalf of the needs of African Americans? Is that something that is happening for us? Allies are supposed to fight for you and you fight for them. You can't be like, that's my ally in the fight. Like if Irony and I are allies and we're friends and somebody comes up and punches me in the mouth and Irony just stands there, can I say that he's not my ally? I mean, would that be fair? Or should he's still my ally. I don't want nothing bad to happen to him. So, I think we have to understand and think about how we define allies. But, wait, back to the story. Let's go back to the story. There was another woman who worked for MVP Staffing, Pamela Sanchez.
Before we talk about Pamela, can you tell the people who you are?
Who?
Tell the people who you are.
Oh, let me just get through Pamela.
Right.
Pamela Sanchez, employer who worked on the site, or the bakery manager, says she was told not to send black workers, and she did a DNR. Do not return them. Do not return them. I almost thought that as a do not resuscitate, like do not return. She would review list of workers and cancel the ones who had names that did not sound Hispanic. She was told to have blacks complete criminal investigation disclosures that Hispanics were not made to complete. 8 to 10,000 potential members of this lawsuit. You know what that means? 8 to 10,000 potential members of the lawsuit. Think about how many people are not in the lawsuit. Let's just keep going. 98% of the job placement went to Hispanics. Now you see provides, and there's and before you tell me, I know a lot of you gonna tell me, Yvette, this is just one company. Like, doesn't mean all companies are acting like this. I don't even understand. Yvette, what do you mean, Yvette? What are you talking about, Yvette? What do you mean? All these people are not bad. All these people are, some of these people are great people, and you're being discriminatory. Well, let's talk about another little company. Let's talk about another little company in Alabama. Can we do that? Now, I said another little company in Alabama, but guess what? This company isn't all that little. This company, this temp agency staffs people all over the South. They staff companies all over the South. That's what they do. So we're talking about a company that provides employment for temp agency employment for companies all over the South. That's a big deal. And I did a story a while back. It's on breakingbrown.com too, and it was on alabama.com about how they were alleged to have discriminated as well. Now, you have this company is called Automation Personnel Services. You know, there was one Georgia plant that asked not to be sent any black thugs. There was another Tennessee branch manager who said she did not want any N words. There were people who were specifically looking for whites and Latinos. But guess who they were never looking for? Black people. Okay?
Hey, are there black people in Alabama?
Yes.
It's not like Washington or Idaho?
No. Absolutely not. There are black people all over the South where the Confederate flag flies. I'm right here.
So maybe they just couldn't find any black people.
Oh, they just didn't want them. If they weren't there, they wouldn't have said, don't send them. But they were there. They just didn't want them. They don't want them. Listen, this is what I need people to understand. This is what I need people to understand. All we have is our citizenship. And the reason that they want these illegal immigrants is illegal immigrants are going to act in ways that undermine our citizenship.
Yes.
So my citizenship with my citizenship comes a set of rights. I have a set of rights that come with my citizenship. If you skip lunch and you make me work overtime and you don't pay me, I have a right to go to the labor department. I have a right to go to the EEOC. I have a right to file complaints. And because I'm a citizen, I don't feel that anything will impinge upon my right. So I will go and hold up my rights. An illegal immigrant will not do that because they are desperate for work. They can't work everywhere. They can only work in certain places. Everybody's not going to hire them. So they're not going to do that. So what you have to understand, even if you are not black, what illegal immigration does in terms of working in the shadows and all the stuff liberals always talk about, well, they working in the shadows. No. This is undermining what it means to be an American citizen. If you let it keep happening, all of us will be living like illegal immigrants. All of us will be living like we're in the third world. That's what it will look like. And I don't think you want that for your life. I know I don't want it for mine. And you know, it's interesting. You know, it's interesting when you look at exactly what happened here in terms of these companies getting what they wanted, regardless of what the law said. And there was one woman in the terms of the Alabama case who said that she witnessed, she brought in some paperwork for a bunch of different people who were applying for jobs, and she witnessed somebody tear up the application when the person said, is anybody in this applicant pool black? And when she said, yeah, one of these people is black. She said, which one? And she tore up the resume. That's discrimination. And not only is it discrimination, it undermines your rights. Embracing this. My problem, even with basic math, 3, who campaigned on in your mind. The other day I was on my page and I had somebody telling me, talking to me about, and I've read Marx and Hegel, but he was going on, how much Marx have you read? Well, have you read Hegel? Well, if you had read more Hegel, you would know. Hey, listen, I'm not opposed to reading Hegel. I've read Hegel. I was a philosophy mind. I read a lot of these people. But when people want to be condescending, I let them. So, but the truth of the matter is none of that stuff. It's great to read that stuff. It's great to be an erudite. I'm fine with that. Erudition is wonderful. But none of that stuff is going to get money into the hands of black people who need money right now.
Let's be honest. What we're looking for is the quickest way to get money into the hands of black people. Mm-hmm. That's what we want. That's what we want. That's a strategy. You tell me what's the fastest way to get money, serious money, income into the hands of black people, and then we can talk. Is that your argument?
Yeah, I think. Listen, I think given where we are, you have to be practical. I don't have time to have a theoretical debate with 37% of black kids living in poverty and 10% and the top 10% of this country, which is mostly white, having most of the wealth. I don't have time to have a theoretical debate with you. I don't have time to have an ideological debate with you. Somebody asked me a question today on my page, says, well, what is radical black politics? You know, what does radical black politics fit into all of this? I don't know. Listen.
Does it put money into the pockets of black people?
Yeah, I'm not saying like, I don't, like, we can't, I'm trying to say this without being offensive. Cause I have great respect for people on the left. I have great respect for my history, and I have great respect for the black radical tradition. But you have to understand that everything that worked necessarily back then doesn't necessarily work now. For example, people talk about using a lot of the same strategies that were used during that period. Well, we have one of the biggest national security apparatus that you've ever seen in the history of the world. We're living through, historic income inequality bigger than the world has ever seen. I don't have time to have these discussions, these sort of circle jerks. That's what I call them, because they're like circle jerks where you go back and forth, where I go back and forth with you about this. I don't have time for that. People don't have food. People don't have jobs. I don't have time to have this conversation with you. And why do you want to have that conversation with me? Why is this the conversation you want to have? You want to have a conversation with me? I said one time, well, and I think I told everybody this. I said, well, I think it should be, what Canada's immigration policy was, in terms of we actually bring people in based on what they have to offer in terms of the economy. And we changed that to fit the needs of the economy. Okay? That actually means something. That's what I would like to do. I see why, illegal immigrants would fight me on that. I don't see why African Americans would fight me on that. That's what I don't see. And a friend brought this up to me. He said, the funniest thing is when a black man is late on his child support, he gets locked up. The first thing you say is he should have paid his child support. Well, the truth of the matter is, the real truth is, you're not looking at the context. The context is he needs a job to pay it as well. So you don't want to free up jobs so that black men, black women, because some of these jobs, ask for, I want white women, right? I want a white woman. I don't want no black secretary. So you're not, but even if you just to use the black male example, you're not willing to do something to free up jobs for him, but you're very willing to hold him accountable when the stuff goes left, aren't you? Like, that's a problem. And for you not to see that that's a problem, I don't know how to explain that to you. There was a great example, and I think Antonio Moore gave this example on my Facebook, in the terms of, people say, when you talk to people about immigration, what they say is, well, the root of the problem is white supremacy. The root of the problem is white capitalism. So we got to dig up the root. We can't, that's the only way to do it. Well, it's just like this. If you have a tree, let's say your granddaddy is at his house, and there's a tree, and the tree has a limb, and the limb is about to fall on the house. Are you going to tell your granddaddy that the only option is to dig up the tree? Or are you going to find something to cut the limbs? You need a limb cutter. The limb cutter will work too, in order to save the house. Like, that's what we are. We need a limb cutter. We can't, listen, I'm all for pulling up the root, but we can't do that right now. We ain't got no machine to pull the root up. So if we can't pull the root up, we gotta cut the limbs before it fall on granddaddy's house. The limbs are about to fall. So are you gonna sit here beside me and say, Yvette, we need a kind of machine to pull this tree out of here. We gotta find somebody to pull this tree out of here. Or are you gonna help me cut the limb? Can you help me cut the limb? I mean, is that so hard? I don't understand why we're having such a back and forth about this. I don't understand why I'm fighting so hard with African Americans about this. It's not personal for me. None of this is personal. It's not personal. I don't have any animosity or dislike for anybody. I'm just trying to look out for what's in the best interest of black people and what is most feasible in terms of right here, right now, what we can do right here and right now. I'm not trying to look 10 years from now. I'm not trying to look 30 years from now. And I understand. But I'm trying to also figure out what group on the horizon right now is really fighting, is an allied group of African Americans and migrant workers who is really fighting with any efficacy against white capital. Like, show me where that's happening in a major way. Show me who's doing that in a major way. I just don't see it. What I do see is that there's a president with all of his flaws who campaigned on building a wall. So now would be a great time to kind of get busy on building that wall. I'm sorry if people are upset. I'm sorry if people are, if people don't understand exactly what I'm trying to say. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is, and you're not really fighting with me. We're fighting with the data. What you're looking at is that black people are becoming shut out of the economy. We've been replaced by another group.
Can I talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
Yvette, I don't think it's just day laborers that are getting shut out, because I've been reading over the last decade that black middle class teachers, and those are good jobs, black middle class union teachers are getting shut out of public schools, and I don't appreciate that. And sometimes they're getting hired in administration, but we've lost tens of thousands of black union teachers to programs like Teach for America, or just like in general, like suburban white women come in and take those jobs in traditionally black schools. So it's not just the day laborers who are getting squeezed out of the American economy. I feel like the American economy is finding a way to be post-black, and the Democrats aren't helping as much as they should, and not with the seriousness with which they should, especially since about 2008, we've been just closing down government offices, which means that a lot of black baby boomers and a lot of the black middle class made their money working for the government. They were letter carriers, they were post workers, they were letter carriers, postal workers. They worked in civil service. All of the austerity programs that were cut down when we decided that we didn't have enough money to give cities to pay for social services. Like all those jobs disproportionately affected black people. So it's gotten so bad that we don't even have accurate numbers on the black workforce, because so many black workers have been out of the workforce for so long, they don't count for workers in the workforce. So when you call in callers, talk not only about the low wage labor, but talk to me about where else are black workers being kicked out of the economy, because I suspect, and I don't really have any evidence to say otherwise, I suspect the economy is becoming, in more and more states, especially states where black people are or used to live, it's becoming post-black. There's no need for us anymore, like black men and black women. And like I said, I don't think it's just in low wage labor. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in education and all those government jobs, pretty much all of the jobs that baby boomers did. Because first they came for the factory workers. Now they're coming for the low wage unskilled laborers, and then they're coming for the teachers, and then the government workers. So and the private industry is not the place you want for black people. So like, callers, talk to me about that.
There's another interesting point to this that actually would be kind of funny if it weren't so sad. I mean, and that point is actually that all of this awful stuff, all of this stuff that we're fighting about right now that's happening to black people and displaced jobs and all of the I saw a report about all of the jobs that have been replaced, that there were all of these the manufacturing jobs were being replaced by jobs as servers and baristas. There was all this is happening at the end of the term of the first black president.
Yes.
This is what is so amazing. All of this stuff is happening at the end of the first black president's term. And instead of turning to him and saying, look, you didn't do anything for us. We've been here all this time. You had 8 years and people were talking about you were going to hook us up and Obama's going to hook us up and then he's going to hook us up in the second term. You just wait and all that stuff. And the second term happened and nothing happened. Now, let me just take one quick break. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. Please share this on your page.
Tell your friends.
Please like it. Tell your friends about it. If you're watching it on Facebook, I want you to like the post. It's not going to cost you anything just to like the Facebook post. Share it on your page, and you can still go to www.breakingbrown.com and donate, but just try to support the project. Now let me get back to your first black president.
Well, hold on. 88 DBM has a very good YouTube comment, and I'm going to say, it says, hell, some cases black baby boomers slammed the door behind themselves.
Uh-oh.
I didn't say it. I'm just reading what I read. Someone on YouTube is, quote, saying, hell, in some cases, black baby boomers slam the door behind themselves.
Uh-oh.
Is that true?
Oh, that's true. Oh, that's true.
Don't talk about your mama like that.
Well, well, you know what? You know what? And it's not all baby boomers, but you know what it is? Like, I don't think baby boomers understand. Like, and they will be the main ones to tell you that you ain't nothing. Like, the baby boomers who slam the door behind will be the main ones to tell you that you need to do better. And like, you don't understand that. Like, the reason that you're here is affirmative action. The reason that you're here is because of government programs that benefited you. That's it. And like the reason that we're not there is because we didn't have those programs to benefit us. So what exactly are you talking about? Like, I think at a certain point, like, we have this whole thing, and I was talking to somebody about this today. We have this whole thing about, well, you have to respect your elders, and when they talk to you, no, at a certain point, you have to say, like, no, grandma, I'm not listening to you like that, because when the immigrants started coming in and started taking our jobs, you should have done something about that early on. When they started taking away our rights, you know, whether it be labor, whether it be, no matter what it was, you should have done something. You should have done something. But you came in, you got money, and you look at me like, what's wrong with you? Like, these people are not raising highly functional adults. That's what you're supposed to be raising. Like, and people say, well, Yvette, define what that means to be raising a highly functional adult. That means you can pay for their college. That means that you can help them put something down on a house. And you're going to leave them something when you die. I'm not talking about $5. I'm not talking about a bill. You can leave them a nest egg when you die. So if you pay for your child's college, if you can do that, if you're leaving some inheritance and you're helping them pay for a house, you are on your way. You're not big money. You're not elite. Don't go get excited. But you're on your way to raising a highly functional adult.
In America,
you're on your way. Because America requires money. This is in the richest country in the world. You need money to be functional. So if you are not doing those things, for your kid, if you have not done those things for your kid, please tell me how you expect your child to be highly functional in the workforce. I don't understand how that is supposed to happen. How are you creating a highly functional child without giving that child anything to work on? This is not the third world. In terms of, this is not a world where you can go and like you get paid to like put tourists on a canoe. And you canoe them back and forth every day, and that's how you make your money. You canoe them. This is not that kind of, we don't have that here. And and with your canoe, you make enough money to feed your family. This is the richest country in the world. It requires money. So I think a lot of baby boomers have created kids who are not highly functional, but they feel like because they fed them every day, you had food every day, because they fed them every day and they got student loans, that somehow that makes them a highly functional adult. No, it makes them, if you didn't pay for that stuff, you just created a debtor. You just created somebody who's in debt, somebody who's negative. And since they don't have any money, they can't move. Like, you can't move and take chances. Even if you want to be an entrepreneur or something, you have to take chances. You can't move and take those chances a lot of times if you don't have any kind of money to fall back on. Like, people say, quit your job. I want you to quit your job and get out there and do it. Well, if you don't have anything to fall back on, you're trying to convince people to be homeless. Like, black people living on the edge.
Black people who
living on the edge.
There's a lot of black people who say, just quit your job and follow your dreams. I think that's an irresponsible.
You better not lean in. Who that? The Facebook lady said lean in.
Lean in.
You better not lean in. You're gonna get your neck chopped off. You better not come in there talking about. I think I should be. I'm making 85. I think I deserve 105, and I'd be. Everything ain't for everybody. Everything, and this is just how we live. And I'm not trying to depress anybody. I don't want you to be depressed. I just want you to understand the landscape. Like the key to making something happen, the key to doing something, even if you're going to war, you have to understand the landscape. I don't know how you do it without understanding the landscape. And that's the key. So, I mean, in terms of that comment, I think the commenter was right. I think baby boomers have done a number. And they've also guilted, I'm Generation X, but they've guilted Generation X and millennials. Oh, you should be doing better. When I was your age, I was this, and when I was your age, I had that. And I wish I know we were going to talk about this. I have some great charts about how everything was cheaper when they were around. Food, and I'm not even when you adjust for inflation. I'm gonna be like, oh, inflation. No, even when you adjust for inflation, everything was cheaper. Everything was cheaper. We talking about food. We talking about college. I mean, back in that time, you could put your way through. You could pay your way through college. You could get a job and pay your way through college. You can't pay your way through $35,000, $45,000 a year. You can't do that. So not to go to school. So, and then you have to ask yourself, and here's the question that I'm going to ask. And, part of the reason, when I think about it, part of the reason that you talk about, we have this, the whole charter school movement, and you say, why don't people want, they're pricing us out of school. They're pricing us out of school. What's the problem, Yvette? They don't want us to, they don't believe poor people should go to school. It's not just about poor people going to school. I think a lot of people in this country believe, a lot of people who are elite believe that there is no reason for a poor person to go to school, because what are you going to do with it? I think they look at it and be like, we have graduated too many literature majors. We have graduated too many people, and there is no role for them in the economy. And the economy is shrinking. So ask yourself, there was a great article, and if I known I was going to talk about this, I would have brought it. But there was a great article about this young guy, not this young guy, but this school with young people, and they were only going to they decided they weren't going to the 8th grade. Like there's a little community where school only goes to the 8th grade. You want to know why that is? Because school is like they're pushing. America's becoming a feudal country where school is for rich people. School, what you need school for? You're never gonna be here. So what you need school for? We need you to be able to read the traffic signs and when you go to court and all that stuff, to read everything. When you go to court, because like if you in Ferguson and all these places, you gonna go to court because they're gonna stop you like a cheap watch. Because that's the money that we depend on. Remember that story in Mississippi? Remember that story? If you can find that story, put that story. That was a story in Mississippi, where I think it was in Mississippi where the people said there was a jail, and the jail wasn't housing as many people or something, and they basically said, well, we're not getting as much money, and it was on like the Huffington Post, and we're not getting as much money. So what are we gonna do? We're not making as much money from the prisoners. Well, I mean, this is what we depend on. We depend on making money from poor black people. And if we can't jail as many poor black people, then that's going to be a problem. And they were talking about all the money that they were losing. Mississippi jails were losing all this money. That's what but that's what they've kind of set us up to be. Like, people don't understand. Like, that's the setup. Whether you like it, that's the game they try to play. The game they try to play on us that we're gonna have to try to navigate and get around. The game that they try to play on us is, we're going to make you fail. We're going to set it up. We're going to set it up to where you're going to fail. And when you fail, we're going to make money off you. We're going to set it up so that you fail. And when you fail, we're going to make money off you. That's the American way. And that's the problem. See, we are the gasoline. I don't care. When you look at any kind of black failure, you can see a bunch of people making money off of it. When you look at black prisons, you have private prison corporations making money off of it. Anybody who sells food to those corporations making money off of it. You had the black mama whose son is in the jail, being a guard at the jail. You have people who have jobs. So that's kind of how the American economy has dealt with like not having enough jobs. Well, we'll just incarcerate a bunch of more people if they don't have jobs. We'll just incarcerate a bunch of them, and then what'll happen is they'll create jobs because they're in prison, and then the prison has to feed itself. It has a lot of stuff that it needs. It has, you need everything from a doctor here and there to food to medical supplies to uniforms, and then they can be free labor as well. So what you have is a system that's designed around kind of black people failing. So if black people don't fail, the system doesn't run like it should, and that's just what it is. It's not something that I'm making up. That was actually a real article about these prisons. That was a real article. That really happened. That really happened. And it's right there. Mississippi jails are losing inmates, and local officials are they're, look at them. Look at what they are. They're devastated by the loss of revenue. That's what we are. We're revenue. Think about any kind of failure. You can think about black emotional failure. Like, we have hard times. We go drink. That's why there's a liquor store in every black community. Every kind of failure that we have. If we say
monetized.
Yeah, it's monetized by somebody. Okay, let's say that black people say, I can't get into the school I want to get into, but I want to go to school. Well, they put up these little ITT techs in all these schools, all these little poor private schools, and say, well, it might not be worth a lot, but hey, here, black person, we're gonna give you a chance. And they put all these little commercials on TV, which was somebody who says, I got this kind of job and I got this kind of job. Every time we fail, and they play on our failure and our aspiration, right? So we want to be rich. So what do they do when we want to be rich? They come into our communities with what? With what? These schemes. Well, you can learn to flip houses, and you can learn to do this. Everything is about playing on making money off our failure and our aspirations. They make money off our failure and they make money off our aspiration. That's what they do. And this is this is how, so that's what we have to kind of extricate ourselves from. When you're looking at that, we have to extricate ourselves from that setup. That's been a pretty awful setup for us. So we have to get ourselves outside of that. And the question is, how do we get ourselves outside of that? Especially since we live in a world where you have to pay for stuff. It's not like it used to be. People talk about, I hear a lot of people talk, when they start talking to me, funny thing about boomers, when they start talking to you, they start talking to you about stuff that's strange. Or even millennials who were very close to their boomer parents or grandparents, they start talking to you about, they start talking to you about their grandmama and stuff. Like my grandmama, my granddad. Like, my grandmama did this and my granddad did this. And I'm be like, well, there are some things we can learn from grandmama and grandpapa. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm not saying there's nothing that you can learn from your elders. There certainly is a lot of stuff you can learn from your elders. I'm not saying there's not. But you can't tell me, you have to understand the difference in time. Like, if you can't understand the difference in time and that each period has a different lens through which it should be understood, each generation has a different lens through which it should be understood. So when we're talking about your grandmother didn't exist in the era that we exist in. Your grandmother did not exist in that era. She just didn't. Capitalism has changed. And one of the things that capitalism has done is made it so that you have to buy stuff, right? Like I have an iPhone. Now, if in let's say 6 years, my iPhone is still good, can I still use my iPhone? No. I had an iPhone 3 one time. I tried to keep my iPhone 3 for like 3-4 years. You know what started happening? The apps don't update, the phones start crumbling. They're designed for you to go and buy new things. Like, everything is designed to wear out. So you got to go buy some more stuff. That wasn't the way it was back in your grandmother's time. That's not the way it was. Stuff would last. So if you gave somebody something, it would last. It wasn't set up to wear out. It wasn't set up to where you had to get a new one in 3 years. That's not the way it was set up. Fabrics lasted longer. They were meant to last. But capitalism basically came in and said, you know what? Can't do that no more. We can't keep doing that. Yeah. We're losing money. We have to do something called planned obsolescence. That's what we have to do. We have to do planned obsolescence. That's what we have to do. So I'm trying to figure out, I don't know where you think you're gonna necessarily go from there. I don't know. You can't just be like your grandma. You can't just be like your granddad. Like, you have to navigate this. Like, this is a new terrain. We have to navigate this terrain differently. And one of the ways I do believe we have to navigate this terrain is by saying, yeah, black people are in favor of immigration reform that means a wall if necessary, and strictly, and being very strict in terms of who we allow into the country. That is one way that you can do that. There are other ways that you can do it too, but that's one way, and we have to be practical. Being practical means sometimes we might have to make enemies. Like, sometimes when stuff isn't in our best interest, that's the way we have to move. We have to navigate. Times are so desperate now. We have to navigate on what our best interest is. That's the only thing that matters. If somebody asks you, well, what matters to you? What matters to me is what's in the best interest of African American people.
And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. That's politics.
To be pro-black?
Look, if you're Jewish and you talk to a politician, what's the first question you ask?
What you gonna do about Israel?
Good. If you're Latino and you have some, relatives that you're worried about their status. When you talk to a politician, what's the first thing you're going to ask?
What we gonna do about the dreamers? What we gonna do about the people who have family?
If you're in the LGBT community, you got everything going for you, fine. It's been the last 8 years. You go up to Obama. What do you ask him?
You were asking about marriage equality every time.
And then the problem is, for the last 8 years, when black people go to Obama, what have they been asking for? Can I get a picture of Michelle?
I want an autograph. Can I get a picture with you? I'm gonna take it to all my friends. I'm gonna take it to my frat. I'm gonna take it to my frat. I'm gonna take it to my friends. I'm gonna take it. Oh, I love you. Y'all such a beautiful family.
That's not how you do politics, though. That's not how you win.
No.
No.
That's how you get played. That's how you get manipulated. It's like, and that's what. Look. People think I'm crazy, but this is, this is. I can't tell you how happy. I really can't tell you. I really can't express to you in any meaningful way how happy I am that Obama is about to be leaving. I really can't. And you know what I'm going to do for y'all? If I can remember, help me remember this, Iron Man. If I can remember, if I'm not gone, I might be out of town for that week. But if I'm here, the day Obama leaves the White House, when he shakes hands with Trump and leave the White House, I'm going to do a Facebook Live where I drink champagne live, and I'm going to pop it, and I'm going to have a ball, and I'm going to have a party, because we have lost our minds. We go to this president, and he says he's the president of everybody. He says he's the president of all people, not just black people, which you should interpret
means everybody except black people.
And we didn't understand it that way. We said, well, you're looking for a messiah. We're looking for an exchange. We voted for this, not as exchange because you black, I'm black, but we voted for you. We're supposed to get something. You're supposed to get something in exchange for your vote. Didn't happen. So I'm just ready for us to have another white president so that we can just, get our minds back. You're an alcoholic or something. You just get sober. Like we just need somebody to pull us out and take us away from the sauce for a while so we can get our minds together. That's what we need. So I'm happy that day is coming. That doesn't mean, Yvette, are you saying you want Trump? No. If Hillary was getting in there too, if Hillary was becoming president right now, I would still be happy that we're going to be away from Obama. We need, in order for my people to be sane, we need Obama to be gone. Because I remember when Obama went to Morehouse and said, nobody cares if you've been discriminated against. What? Like, would you go?
That's true. That's not your job to tell me that.
Not at my graduation either.
Yeah, your job is to get me a job. If that's the case, you got to care, Obama. I don't care if anybody else cares. You, Barack Obama, have to care. Because I'm an American and I shouldn't be discriminated against.
I mean, would anybody go to? I mean, and would anybody go? Would he go to a Jewish school and say nobody cares that your ancestors went to the gas chamber?
Nobody cares about your damn Holocaust.
Nobody cares. I mean, what did he say? Nobody cares that your ancestors went to the gas chamber. Would you say that to people? But when you think about what happened to us in terms of hanging from trees and black people being assaulted and murdered and enslaved and all that, you gonna come here?
No complaining Negro.
Yeah, he went to the continent of Africa and said the same thing. You got to get over colonialism. Nobody needs you. If that's all you gonna say as a black person, like who needs you if you're gonna just tell me to get over everything that's been done to me? You're supposed to be here to fix it, and that's part of the problem. Like Barack Obama began to believe that he was like the daddy of black people as opposed to like the president. Like I'm gonna be a good example. Like there was a very good line where he said that in Confidence Man, that Susskind book, Confidence Man. If you haven't read it, pick it up. Where there's a line in there where Michelle asks him before he becomes president, like, why you want to do this? And he says, well, if nothing else, I will be an example to little black children. I don't know why Michelle didn't say that's not good enough.
Not good enough.
Like, that's not good enough to want to be the president, to want to be the leader of the free world. You have no vision. And where there's no vision, the people will what? Perish. And that's exactly what's happening. We are perishing because Obama didn't have any vision. Obama was too busy trying to ingratiate himself to white people. That's what he's always been his whole life. He's the guy that can smile and be happy and make white people feel like, oh, he's not so bad. He's a good guy. Like that's who he is. That's who he is. So I mean,
got an interesting comment.
I mean, sure.
Yeah, I got an interesting comment. A guy named Marty W says that black people in upper management don't hire other black people. Is that true?
It might be. We know sometimes we like being the only one in the only Negro in the only black, in the room.
I mean, I have a theory about Hillary Clinton. The reason we don't have more Democratic women in a higher place is that she didn't want anybody. She didn't want any other woman like around the party.
Did Obama have a lot of black people around?
Well, he had Holder. He had Valerie Jarrett. I mean, just around, yeah, those two.
I mean, like it is like his policy advisors. Who was there? Like, I mean, anybody in the White House.
In a policy advisor, anybody who would tell him, like, anybody who was a threat to him.
And that's inside the White House. Like, how many people were there? Was it Axelrod and
Well, he had Van Jones for about 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, until Glenn Beck said until Glenn Beck said he was gonna take him on.
Yeah.
And then when Glenn Beck said that, Van Jones got gone. Yeah. He got kicked out.
You got to go, Van. And he had Shirley Sherrod for a little bit, but then
and then she got fired and then invited back. Black people got purged under Obama, didn't they? They got purged. They got kicked out.
Some of them got ideas of their own, and
you can't have black people thinking for themselves like that. That's dangerous. It's, and Shirley Sherrod had done all that stuff, and it's very interesting. I remember that was actually a very good piece by Ta-Nehisi Coates, and I know I'm giving him. I have a love hate. I like a lot of stuff he does. I hate other stuff. Like when he compared Obama to Malcolm X, I shuddered. But he had a very good line where he interviewed Shirley Sherrod, and the very interesting thing that Shirley Sherrod said during that interview. Shirley Sherrod said Obama told her, I understand discrimination. You should read my book. Now, how you gonna tell a woman who's been through all that Shirley Sherrod been through that you should read my book? Like, you should be listening to her because of, she's talking all about this discrimination and everything that she's been through, and you're talking about read your book. I mean, it's kind of unfathomable where we are right here.
No, the best is Shirley Sherrod's answer. Tell the people what Shirley Sherrod answered.
She did read his book.
She's like,
I did read his book.
I know you're a buster because I did read your book.
Yeah, I did read it, and I'm still fired. And they told Shirley to pull over on the side of the road. If y'all don't remember who Shirley Sherrod was, remember, let me just tell you who Shirley Sherrod. Since I went off on this tangent. Shirley Sherrod worked over there at the Department of, Agriculture, whatever. She was, worked over there, and the Breitbart, the guy who used to run Breitbart, who's dead now, Andrew Breitbart, he kind of made up this story that, he cut the tape in such a way, he cut a video from the NAACP in such a way that it looked as if Shirley Sherrod was being discriminatory. Well, actually what she was saying was that she was very good to this white farmer, right? That's what she said. And that's who she was, and which made her a great person to be able to look beyond all that had happened to her and be this great person. So Andrew Breitbart and company, from everything I can tell, edited that tape to make it look like she was discriminating. They said they didn't edit, they received it. Whatever. The problem though is that the Obama administration, after they received that tape,
did not pass go.
Did not pass go.
Did not collect.
Did not ask her any questions. They called her and they said we need to resign. Shirley Sherrod said, I'm on the side of the road. I'm on the drive and I'm on the road. I can't resign. They said we need you to pull over. This woman who had dedicated her life to her job was made to, we talked the other day about Skip Gates. I think that was it for me. Like, you made Shirley Sherrod pull over and resign, and she hadn't even done anything wrong. You didn't have the guts to do an investigation.
Any sort of investigation.
You didn't have the guts, and that's the. You're one of
part of your legacy. She treated him like a cop. He treated her like a cop.
Part of Obama's legacy is just spinelessness all the way around. It's just pretty awful, man. It's just pretty awful.
That's another person without a job.
Thanks to another black person without a job. Thanks to Obama. Like that's your legacy. Thanks to Obama. When do you leave again?
Let's take some calls.
Sure, let's go ahead.
Let's take some calls. Who we got here? All right, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, Yvette?
Yes.
Hello? Hi, this is Elisa calling you from Chicago, and I did
Elisa.
donate.
Thank you. I saw it.
Payment.
I saw it. Thank you.
And, wait a minute, but it only goes up to $25. I said I was going to give you $40 automatically every month.
No, you did give me. The automatic. I'll figure out a way to change that. But you
need to change that.
I'll change that. Don't worry.
Do you see that I did that? I kept my word.
No, I saw that you kept your word. I did see that.
Because you know what? This is exactly what we need. We need somebody with a backbone and a bottom that's doing what you're doing, because no one else is doing it. I mean, we do have other people doing it, but their mics are not long enough. Their podiums aren't big enough. So we have to get you funding so that this word can spread. And what you're talking about tonight is not a theory. It's not a perception. It's a reality.
Yeah.
And what I've been finding in talking to Black people is that they don't understand their own reality. They think they're doing really well.
Yeah.
They really do.
That's a good point.
It's a fact that they're not doing well. And the other thing that I have, this immigration, she's calling it only hurts Black people. It doesn't hurt any other group of people in America.
Not like us.
Only Black people. I'm going to go to another country, and there's a rainbow in Black.
No, let me tell you. And you're so right. You're so right. But I agree with you. But I have a question for you. At least I have a question for you. You said that we don't understand our own reality. Why do you say that?
Because when you talk to Black, they don't because they don't understand that they're failing. They think that they're doing well. When you for example, when I was one of the ones to help start Occupy Chicago in Chicago, the 99% in Chicago, Occupy Chicago, I was the one to help start that. And I would get on the buses to go downtown Chicago with my signs and stuff like that. And all of the Black people would say, "What's the 99%?" I said, "Oh, I'm happy to meet the 1%. We need to get off these televisions. We need to get in a book. We need to get somewhere. We're going to get some real information." And but you know what all the white people saying on the bus? "Oh, thank you for all the seniors. Oh, thank you for doing this because Social Security is working." But the Black people didn't understand. Thank you, ma'am, for doing this because Social Security is working. We want to keep our Social Security. But the Black people are like, what's the 99%? What is that about? They don't understand their own reality. They're in darkness. They don't want to talk about it. As a matter of fact, when I signed up, I moved to a different neighborhood because Obama was my neighbor. I went through the whole process with him when he was nobody. I'm like you. When he get out of office, I'm going to have my champagne glass, too. I can't wait for that Negro to go either, him and his wife. Because all they do is taking selfies with celebrities. I don't want to see him doing nothing with nobody. I don't even have a television anymore. I don't want to see that Negro with a selfie and nothing else. Because that's all they doing is taking selfies and having a good time on our dime.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree. I thank you. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for that comment, Lisa. I got some comments on it I'm gonna say, but I want to thank you for the call. All right, and thank you for the donation too. I appreciate it.
Okay, now I'm gonna send you more, but I got a monthly plan for you, and I'm gonna continue.
I'm gonna increase that too. I'm gonna figure out how to do it.
Let me just say this: everybody that's listening to this program today and that's calling in or whatever, however you're getting through to this type of program, especially for Black people, this is what we need. And we don't need to just hear it. We need to fund it. I don't care how much it is, whatever small amount you have, because you burn a Starbucks coffee, you give some CEO money that don't need the money, or whatever you do, you can send something to help fund a program like this so that we can become a stronger economy in this country. And that's the only way, by educating each other.
Yeah, it has to. I agree. Anyway. Thank you, Lee. I appreciate that. Yeah, it has to be. She's right. It has to be sustainable. And part of the reason we don't have more programs like this is because people still have to pay rent. People still have to pay car notes. Right. It becomes like, how can I do that and then do this? Because people, you don't understand, like, in order to find, like, what's the story today that impacts Black people, I have to go around and surf the web. I have to read books. I have to that stuff takes time. Like, you can't, so you have to fund it. But I want to get to something that she just said was important. I think she was hitting on Oprah about why do Black people in this country go elsewhere to say, like, you see Black people everybody wants to go, I'm going to go to Africa. And I'm going to go to
Black people in Tennessee who could have used the school.
I remember she said they don't want it. She said we don't want it. Yep, she said said they don't want it. I remember that. She said they don't want it. I need them to want it.
That's awful.
What kind of black people have you been around? They don't want it. And do you as a poor black person, shouldn't you know what they went through? Shouldn't you know what they've been through? And she did. I mean, she said we didn't want it. She said I need them to want it. Like I don't. Black people in this country don't want it. I don't. You know that she did that. And this is who everybody looks up to. Like everybody looks up to Oprah. Like everywhere you go, and it's like Oprah only shows up. I remember when I saw Oprah at the Essence Festival. That's because she's selling a movie, man. It's not because she just wants to be around and do that kind of stuff. And it's just like for her to say that, I need them to want it. Yeah, she said. I know. I heard us. I know she said I need them to want it. Like they don't want it. Like I need them to want it. Like so black kids here don't want it. We just like failing. We don't want it. Like you don't know what they've been through in their households. Do you know what poverty creates? Just because you were able to navigate through molestation and all that kind of stuff, like people, do you understand that it's different? And gunshots popping off and all kinds of stuff is going on. What do you mean they haven't been put in a position to like
there are 42 million black people, and she just wrote them all.
They don't want it.
None of
they
them.
don't want it.
Not one of them.
No, they don't want it. Shiftless Negroes, they don't want it.
Gonna put that right in Selma.
Yeah, and you're saying that, and white people read that too.
That's the thing.
People don't understand the influence that Oprah coming into the bedrooms, into the rooms of the living rooms of white women at 4:00 for so many years has had on the psyches of white women who believe that because of Oprah, the black people who don't have it just don't want it. Because if you go through look at Oprah's welfare episodes. She had a lot of episodes on welfare. And she will always, I remember one time she opened the show by saying a lot of people feel like they're being taken advantage of because there are a lot of people on welfare just eating buns and while you head off to work. I mean, during her show, she framed welfare the same way that conservative right wingers frame welfare. That you're just lazy. And imagine what impact this kind of rhetoric had coming into the homes of white women every day at 4:00. Now, I'm not saying Oprah hasn't done some good in terms of Morehouse scholarships, but you have to weigh the good against the bad. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
They don't want it. They don't want them.
We don't want it. We don't want it. We're some shiftless Negroes. We don't want it. We don't want it. It's just like people say that black men don't want to work. And I have this, we read the article now about the black man going into the temp agency at 4 and 5 a.m. every day trying to get a job, and then it goes to the immigrants. Like all of these ideas of who we are. Like, where did they come from? Like, Oprah even said one time, I think that she said that she wasn't comfortable when she was in a black school or whatever. She felt uncomfortable. I bet you did, Oprah. I bet you did. I bet you did.
Take another one?
Yeah, sure.
Do it.
Hello. Hey, it's Tobias. How's it going?
Pretty good, Tobias. How are you?
Doing all right. Hey, I heard it's my mama's birthday. She said don't hang up on me. All right. Couple of things real quick. I live black folks up here trying to save everybody else. These Mexicans out here got their own little areas with their own businesses that are written in Spanish. I'm talking about they hiring their own. I'm talking about their own body, their own like auto shops, their own little grocery stores, even the barber shops, anything. But here's the other thing. You remember those baby boomers? They always said, hey, you can work at a government job.
Yeah.
Well, funny thing happened. I had to go get a new Social Security card.
Uh-huh.
Besides the black man doing security, ironically, and the white guy that running everything, everybody else there was a bilingual Mexican.
Oh. You know what, Tobias? You know what, Tobias? I read an article a while ago about how Latinos were trying to replicate what blacks had done in terms of using sororities and fraternities to help them get government jobs. And they were trying to build their own network to get government jobs. But the funniest thing is, black people don't think we competing. They think we allies. We allies.
And one thing is, I thought I posted your page before. I'll say this real quick. I'm a vet. And, everybody says, hey, you go to the military, you get out, get your job. Funny thing all this time. You don't want to. Obama blocking him. I said, well, what the hell was he doing for 2 years? No. He trying to live better ask for white women to get more money. Black women ain't getting equal pay for the same work. No. But here's the other thing. They can never name you the legislation the Republicans block.
No, they can't.
And that's all I have. You gotta take it easy because I know I already got his finger on the button. But hey, man.
I did it.
You see what you did? You see what you did?
I did
You
it.
see what you did, Tobias? Tobias, tell your mama first of all. Did I say happy birthday? Why you hang up on that man?
I gotta do what I do.
That man he's trying to tell you got your hand on the finger. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's so trigger happy. But I tell your mom I said happy birthday, and you know, I somebody was talking to me about that too. You work all this time to get these jobs, you know, and you end up in a suit, in a tie, washing rental cars. Like that's your life. And that's not supposed to be your life. Like, I don't understand how people don't understand that's not supposed to be your life. And whether or not black people understand the example I gave Tobias, and I want to thank you. I love Tobias when Tobias calls this because that was an informative call. Like,
Yeah, what did he fight for? What did Obama fight for?
Obama didn't fight for anything. Like, you can't, like, if you show me a bill
He fight for Merrick Garland.
If you show me a bill that would have been really good for black people, first of all, it should have been introduced within the first 2 years. That's what's first of all should happen. Because 2 years, you can't just, first of all, Obama meandered around with Obamacare and stumbled around for a whole freaking year. Who does that? Second of all, like you can't, if you could show me something where Obama fought for black people to a bill that really would have driven money and he fought tooth and nail, but it just didn't happen, then I would be like, well, you know what? The man fought the good fight. It didn't happen. Ain't nothing we can do. You know, whatever. But he didn't fight, not for us. He didn't fight for us. He fought for the TPP harder than he fought for us. He was still fighting for the TPP until Trump got elected. Then he was like, well, Trump gonna try to get rid of it anyway. It's his problem now. But he was fighting for that thing, so he knows how to fight. He just don't know how to fight for us. He had to fight for us. Science is totally on pause tonight because Hello? Hello, you're on.
Yes, Scotty. Yes, it's Scotty.
Hey, Scotty.
Yes, what's up? Been hearing this thing. There's this belief in, like, certain conscious black circles. Welfare was created in the Great Society program in the '60s to break up the black family. Where does belief come from, and what do you guys think about it? Because I think it goes to what Irony was talking about, where we need to believe more and fight for the public goods system.
Well, apparently there's a myth going on that welfare was created to break up black families, and that's just not. I don't think that's. I mean,
but it hasn't helped black families in the sense of like I don't understand the reason that there can't be a man in the house. I think you should put a stipulation in there that the man has to be looking for work, and he can document that he is actively looking for work. But I don't think it's ever been a good policy that, you know, in order for a woman to get welfare, a man cannot be in the home, because you have men coming home from prison and all sorts of things, and they can't come home to the women who they love or who they have kids with. They have to go and be somewhere else, and I just don't think that's a good welfare policy. So, thank you, caller. I appreciate it. Let's see if we can get to another one.
Yeah, I'll keep it going. You're on the air.
Hello?
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 All right, we'll drop you.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Bernie. I'm calling from Miami. Can y'all still hear me? Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Yes, sir.
Hello? Yeah. So I just want to say that tonight I agree with a lot of things you guys are saying, and I too cannot wait for Barack Obama to get the hell out of the White House because black people have just lost their ability to even think underneath this man. I'm 31 years old, and whenever I try to talk to my quote unquote educated black friends, I cannot get them to understand the situation that we as black people are in. They all think that we are in a position that we can stand on our own 2 feet and, you know, pick ourselves up out of the economic crap that we're in. So I agree with you. He does need to go. And then also when Real quick, earlier, Irony was talking about how black people are no longer needed or are being replaced in America.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of your other callers was talking about the military. And I just wanted to say that, for a long time, young black men used to use the military to get out of poverty. And nowadays, with Barack Obama, underneath his presidency, he actually reduced the military, and he's actually decreasing the recruitment for military. And when you decrease recruitment, you make the standard of getting the military even higher and higher. So now you have less and less black men being able to get into the military to get out of their situations.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
The only reason why I know that is because I am an Army brat myself.
Uh-huh.
My dad was in the military for 25 years. And even I tried to get in the military myself, and I tried to get in the military after I obtained my second degree. And they were like, it's hard to get in nowadays. Nowadays, you got to, know somebody to get in. And then with the drone strikes and all this technology, they're pretty much de-rolling people from the military. Wow. So I don't even know. Wow. I don't know what young black men are going to do to raise themselves.
I didn't know the military was post-black.
The government's shrinking.
Wow.
And then also, with the decrease in jobs, I don't know what's going to happen because I myself, I have 2 degrees, and I got, on paper I look good on paper, but it still took me 13 months to get my first job. So
wow.
I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but I can say that here in South Florida and the Miami area, which is a very heavily Spanish-speaking area, I know that black people aren't running anything down here in Miami. Because Cubans have Kendall, Russians have South Beach, Aventura. Jewish Americans have the Broward area, and I see black people left and right down here, jobless or working basically in poverty. So I do agree something has to change here.
Oh my God!
And before I go, I was going to say.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, before I go, I was going to say that with the whole Barack Obama thing, whenever I speak about Barack Obama with my friends, my black friends, they think that that I hate black people because I speak negatively about Barack Obama. But the thing with Barack Obama is, it's not that he didn't care about black people. The only thing that he cares about is money. And unfortunately, black people don't have any money. So that's the reason why we can't get anything out of him, because we don't have any money for him to lose. When the LGBT community was fighting for marriage equality, I remember that there was a couple of these gay rich white guys that threatened to take out their money from Barack Obama's donation. And then the following week, he started, releasing executive orders to give federal employees benefits. The problem is, it's not that he didn't care about black people. He just don't have any money to actually buy him, unlike other communities and stuff. So.
I hear you, Brandon.
I'll be quiet.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you for your call, Brandon. I'm going to talk about that for a little while, but thank you for your call. That was a great call. Did you know the military was post-black?
I did not know the military was post-black, but it makes sense with the technological warfare.
Yeah, I didn't think about it, though. I didn't think about that aspect of it. I really didn't. Brandon, he made a really good point. When you think about the drone warfare, and to think about it, Tobias had just made the point that the federal government was becoming post-black in terms of, he said that he went to get his Social Security card, and when he went to get his Social Security card, it was mostly Latino. And then that was Tobias, and Brandon is coming in here saying the military is becoming post-black in terms of how you have to get in, and not only that, in terms of the mechanization of the military. You don't have to go in there and fight. They don't need as much grunt work. They have drones. So we're being pushed out of everywhere. So if you. So, and you don't think immigration matters. And you don't think that matters? We're being pushed out of all of these areas. And you don't think it matters that we have to secure jobs for ourselves and put ourselves up as our own, as our own first interest? And then the thing is, what he said about the money was so true. Because I remember reading about how many of Obama's bundlers, fundraisers, bundlers, were members of the LGBT community. A lot of them were white gay men in Hollywood. And they were his bundlers, and they were multimillionaires. And they basically told him, you got to get yourself together on gay marriage and everything else, or we're not going to be your bundlers anymore. And so, and that's what he did. And he didn't have any kind of these people voted for me or anything. It was just like, I'm just going to move. Like this whole idea when he did the interview with Robin Roberts and said, I've evolved. Ain't nobody evolved. Ain't nobody never evolved on nothing. I mean, and then it against you, like, you evolve within 4 years. Like, that's something you evolve, like, you have a gay child and then they start talking to you. It ain't no, you ain't evolved.
You got a phone call by someone who was
it wasn't no gay child, it was gay money. Like that was the source of your evolution, Obama. It was gay money. And so I mean Brendan is right, but what do we like the thing that bothers me is that like I'm not anti-Latino, anti-Hispanic, anything like that. But what bothers me is that all these other people, like when I talked about the people who were trying to build against or build something to compete with African Americans, like, we act like that we're not competing. But everybody's competing against us. Yeah. But we don't think we're competing. Yeah. We are. Like, they're competing. When they say that,
we're getting eaten.
We're getting eaten because we're like, kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. Let's all come together and fight white supremacy. And they're like, nah, I'm going to take your job. And what? And we're not, whether we like the fact that we're competing or not, we are competing. And it's time to kind of own that. Yeah. You got, let me ask you a quick question. You got somebody over there with a 970 area code?
No, I have 2 anonymous people.
Oh, well, bring one of them in then.
Anonymous people? All right.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello?
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 I'm here.
What's your name?
Hello?
Yes, what's your
Ira.
name? Hey, Ira.
What's up?
What's going on?
Okay. Nothing much. It's a great talk tonight. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Just keep talking, man.
Okay. So I wanted to speak to a point talking about illegal immigrants, how they're humbled and they cannot speak out against the mistreatment of their employment situation. Mm-hmm. So yes. I heard him made another point, and he talked about how America is coming after teachers, low-level workers, and government jobs. So, these corporate entities, these Silicon Valley players that people want to get hired at. But it's not just Silicon Valley, it's everywhere. So I worked for a Microsoft subsidiary maybe about 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And this is immigrants from India. Basically, they made them work like 50 or 60 hours a week. And they were getting paid, I want to say, maybe about $10 to $15 less than American workers that had the same skill set. Mm-hmm. So what it did is it drove down our, what we could work for. And of course, we're not going to work 50 or 60 hours a week. We're trying to do 40 hours a week. We're working a corporate American job. We're trying to work and, get these benefits, and we're trying to live that lifestyle, that American dream that we're supposed to be, I don't know, that's supposed to come to us, So they're paid less. It's some crazy things going on in corporate America. And it's, it's so much that I could talk about, and I know I got to keep it short because I know what's going on, but I just want to speak to that point about how you guys were talking about how immigrants are coming in and taking these jobs that are like maybe less paying and not accommodating to, people that are from this country. But look at somebody that goes and gets a degree like myself, and I have to compete with people from India. Hey, and I'm going to admit that, they're a little bit more, their acumen is a little bit better. They're a little bit more attuned to STEM and that kind of thing. Uh-huh. So we're fighting at that level too.
Wow.
At all levels.
Wow.
I agree. People
didn't know that.
No, here's the deal. We talk a lot about...
Hold on. Don't cut him off yet. Hold on. Okay. Go ahead.
We talk a lot about... people with visas coming in. I mean, we talk a lot about low-wage workers coming in and maybe picking strawberries or whatever, doing construction or drywall. But the H-1B visas are also an issue.
The H-1B visa.
Right. That's where we get, a lot of high-level tech engineers and talent, which is good, except we could be actually investing in black communities. There are people who could be an engineer growing up in Tennessee and Mississippi and, Oakland. And like we could actually get serious about investing in black talent if we want black talent for the next generation.
But yeah, and I
Like
agree with you. I agree with you.
Like
but
we
the
don't
thing-
have to do this
we
with
don't have
visas.
to import everything. But the thing Ira said that was so important, he was like, I we want to work 40 hours a week because that's what you're supposed to do when you go to college and do the right thing. You're supposed to have that kind of life. Like that's the life you're supposed to have when you go to college, do the right thing. You're supposed to be that person. So to not be able to do that is a big deal, and to have your wages driven out after you learn the code. I mean, after you sit around with a bunch of have you seen those brackets when people try to code? Ira, you still there? He's gone. But have you seen those?
I'm here.
Hold on. You still here? I've seen those. I mean, I'm not trying to say anything, but coding is one of the most tedious and taxing things I ever tried to do. Like, I mean, I can't imagine doing that for 60 hours a week.
It is. Yeah, and imagine, having to do that kind of work, and for, into your weekend, cutting away from your family. This like takes away from you being able to have a social life.
Yeah.
That's what I've had to deal with as a developer, and it's rough, And the thing is, as far as that's one thing, and then when you come as a black person, a black man, black person, period, trying to work in these environments and dealing with the racism, now you're dealing with something on a whole nother level. Because I can go into all kind of, issues and scenarios, and I talk about on your posts all the time the things I've dealt with, just dealing with racism as a black person in a corporate environment. That's a whole nother level that will drive you into some depression and have you drinking, and I don't care, smoking or whatever you do.
Yeah, whatever you do.
That's just the kind of that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I hear you. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your call. I appreciate you calling in, bro.
Keep going.
God, I appreciate. I mean, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you. I mean, I appreciate all the callers tonight from Tobias and Brandon and Vita and everybody, because everybody has a different kind of take on like jobs being post-black. Yeah, I mean, everybody has a different take on these jobs. Being this idea that you're having to, as a African American person, as an American person in this country,
You're still in competition with the whole world.
You're still in competition with the whole world, and the whole world is driving down wages. Like, that's what you don't understand. The whole world is driving down wages. The whole world is driving down your way of life. When you're competing with someone with a third world who's willing to work hard, of course they're willing to work hard. They're from the third world. They're going to be willing to work harder. We're Americans. We're from the richest country in the world. We don't want to work 60 hours a week. Like, that's not what the American dream is about. So don't tell me, like, I know some people like say, well, I think you should just be willing to work 60 hours a week. No, that's not what it means to be American. We're supposed to, the American dream is you do the right thing, you work hard, you get your degree or degrees, you do that stuff, and you get a good job, and you have a decent life. It doesn't say now you're going to have to compete with somebody in Bangladesh. Like, that wasn't the American dream. So I think we talk a lot about illegal immigration, but what Ira kind of brings up is that we need to also talk about legal immigration. But we're going to start talking about those H-1B visas and why America isn't investing in its own people. Isn't investing in its own people to learn how to code. And then so we can have a floor of Americans, who have the same expectations, who have the same desires. That's kind of what we need. But I've heard about, from this call, I've heard stuff about the government being post-black, the military, and now I'm talking about corporate America. This is unreal what we're dealing with, and people act like we're not competing, and we don't have to compete against other people of color. Are you serious now?
I got a little bit of bad news for you.
What's that?
It's kind of important. No, it's right on topic. In terms of post-black industries, trucking is very good to black people. They hire you after you get out of jail. The hauling and the trucking industry is very, very good to black people. It's a good job. They hire you even if you have a record. But you know who's coming to get that, right?
They got driverless trucks, don't they? Oh, driverless freaking trucks.
So Uber's coming for that. Like, there are only so many jobs that black people can do. Trucking is one of them, or that do in masses that are good middle-class jobs. Trucking and hauling is one of them. But the driverless trucks, I think, are going to take those away. And I think that's going to happen in 10 years.
What you're looking at is everything's getting took. Everything's getting took, and then you have these kumbaya people saying we shouldn't fight for everything. Everything's getting snatched, and you're telling me don't fight because we should just be fighting. We should just be fighting white people, like rich white people. Like don't fight other people who you're competing with.
And here's the deal: white people don't have to be worried about that because they have generational money.
Yeah, they have
a little bit of a generational.
Yeah,
you see that in California enough. I swear in California, white people haven't worked for 2 generations.
But black people think they white because they sit next to white people in the Applebee's, in the bar. So why do you mean I'm not white? Let's take another call.
Credit, he's on cash.
Yeah, he's throwing out 20s and you putting out a card. But no.
Hello? I've been watching you for a while.
Thank you.
And now I want to move on to my point. So I have experienced a lot of issues with the police over like minor issues, like drug possession and stuff like that. And this stuff really hampers you when you're trying to go out and look for a job. So I'm not sure if people kind of miss the point in how vicious the system is of this mass incarceration, the war on drugs, and how it gets people at a young age. It kind of draws you in at a young age, and it just has this snowball effect to where, you can't get jobs. I got a situation where I had a minor amount of marijuana on me. I had a charge. I wasn't able to work. I got my license suspended.
Uh-huh.
I'm not able to get jobs because my license is suspended. It's like a snowball effect. And it's like so many black men deal with this issue. And like we've seen the reports in Ferguson, we've seen all the reports in Baltimore, how the police go out of their way to harass, black people in particular because they know that they can get away with it because we're seen, as guilty. And also we don't have access to the resources to kind of fight for ourselves in court. If I would have had the money to get a lawyer, maybe I wouldn't have gotten that charge on my record. So it all kind of plays in together. And it's like now, where I work, it's a lot of Hispanics, where I work at. And, it makes me think back to a time where, how we were just stripped of our culture and like even our language. I see these people at work talking and just being able to kind of code language, if you don't know Spanish, like, they're speaking in their native tongue. And it's like what we have, every time we talk, we use the English language. And it's like our messages really aren't decoded. It's like everything that we say is like, it's just out there for everyone to kind of understand and get. I guess that's kind of a little bit off the point. But the point I wanted to make is that, the issue of this mass incarceration, the issue with like background checks is huge. Like I wasn't able to get a job once before. It took like a month to do a background check on me for a job, and they told me I wasn't going to get it. And then it's just a mess. So like just even the process of even getting a job is hard. It's like I applied to Walmart. It's been a month, and I haven't heard back from a job from them. And it's like, what are you supposed to do in that month? They tell you have a job, like you're supposed to wait around a month. Like I need to eat. I need money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so this whole process is really just flawed.
No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you calling in, Carla. I appreciate that. I mean, what he said about mass incarceration was so important. Like, because I wonder, and I've talked to somebody else about this, but it's almost like people say they care, but do you really care? Like, do you really care what mass incarceration has done? Like, is it like 700,000 or some black men in jail or some astronomical number about that? Like, most of them for non-violent offensive and like over 1 million more on probation. Like, I don't understand how we can say that we care about each other. Like, how can we say we care about each other when we see these mass incarceration numbers and we just go on? Like, we just like we were talking about the other day, Walter Scott got shot in the back. We were talking about that the other day, and we talked about how he got shot in the back and how awful that was. But the context of that, and he was running from child support. The context of that is that there are a lot of different black men who are in jail or running from something, or who can't get a job because of something. So how do you expect life to be different? Because at a certain point, if you're a black man, you look like somebody who's been in jail, because so many black men are in jail. So when white people see you, the only thing they see is that you're a threat, because you look like every other black man who's in jail. And there's a lot of black men who are in jail thanks to mass incarceration. So I don't know how as black people, we can say we care about mass incarceration without, without caring about what the system has done to these black men over and over and over and over again. And we have black men who can't get jobs. Let me tell you, one of the most disturbing things is that you'll have that, and you'll have other black people say, basically, well, he shouldn't have done X, Y, and Z, as opposed to, but you'll make an excuse for why the illegal immigrant, it was okay for him to illegally cross the border and get a job. But when the black man tells you that he sold weed or he had weed on his person, you'll tell him he shouldn't have done that. So it's almost as if like you'll be more lenient to the immigrant. You'll be more lenient to the immigrant than you are to the black man who got a marijuana charge. And I think that's problematic. I don't see any way to talk about it. That's a problematic thing, and I don't understand how you can care about mass incarceration and we're not like if we really cared about mass incarceration, we'd be talking about it every day. If we really cared about it, we'd be talking about it every day. We'd be telling you, listen, you need to rehabilitate those men first before you get them out of jail, because you got to rehabilitate them first, because they've been going through a lot in there. Yeah. So I need you to rehabilitate them before you let them out, because I don't want them to become a danger to their communities because of what they've experienced in jail. But you need to rehabilitate them, and you need to give them some work opportunities. Like if this was important to us, we would talk about. We don't talk about this. We talk about it every now and again. Right. We talk about it every blue moon. This isn't important to us. We move on. So I think he's right. I thank you, caller, for calling in. But I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, another important thing about that is we've incarcerated so many people, it's actually distorted our sense of reality. Like, we don't know how many black men don't have jobs because there are so many black men in jail. Like, the black unemployment rate is orders of magnitude worse than it's reported because they underreport the people in jail. Like, it's distorted our sense of reality. That's pathetic.
No, you're exactly right. And that's how they had to do the numbers. Like, really, this mass incarceration has to do with the numbers, right? And so, in order to make the numbers look like we weren't in as bad a position as we in, we just put a bunch of black men in jail. If we put a bunch of black men in jail,
it doesn't look as
then
bad.
The numbers don't look as bad, and that's what they did. And so, and that's what we still are. So, do we have another one? Good, last one.
Last one.
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna go to.
Wow.
Hello?
Hello?
Yvette?
Yes, I'm here.
Yvette?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, this is Vita from San Leandro, and I did donate $20 a month for the whole year for $240
Thank you, Vita.
for your show yesterday. So
I appreciate it.
I'm kind of down tonight. I'm kind of sad tonight. I just don't understand how like the gentleman said about the H-1 visas, the guy that had low weed on him and trying to get a job, and the immigration, and I talked to two interviews. I did two interviews with Charles Thomas out of Chicago yesterday, and I did Representative Danny Thomas, and have a conversation and ask them about these issues, right?
Uh-huh.
And so then I was trying to figure everything out. You know what it is, Yvette?
What is it?
It's the secret society. It's the gatekeepers. It's the boulets, the Greeks. They all have a routine, and they did the buffer. So that's why nothing can get done. They claim like the journalist, when I asked him questions, he said that I told him I look for other resources when I'm gathering information. If I want to know about something, he kept talking to me like trying to dumb me down, like I was stupid. I didn't know how to look for information. When you go on the web and stuff, those are just fake news stuff. I had to call back 3 times. I said, let's go. I said, there's people on the ground. People don't think black people are just dumb. You know, he played this elitism, like you know it. And I told him, what about Emmanuel? You're right there. Did you interview him? You're talking about this new immigration economic trip in Chicago. You know, because I do the Nation of Islam. I call into the show and talk to the guests so I can see where trying to figure out some solutions. You know, and because they got some spaces on the ground, maybe that's a way to attack the people. And I just thought, to me, and in the news media, I told him, I said, you're a journalist, you talk about ethics and stuff, and you go on and interview these politicians. And he flipped up and said, well, the House of Representatives for Chicago, the black leaders there, they just can't do it. They just don't have no leader because they have to raise money, and then the people down there, they don't know nothing. I said the reason why we don't trust the media, you can't get information. So the way that you can't win until you get the money behind it and some news to the people, because the ones are supposed to be these gatekeepers, because you can tell he's been to college, he belongs to a breed, and that's what they do. It's a bully. And I went did a whole bunch of research yesterday, and that's what it is. You see all the people that's alumni of it, and you see how they pass it down in the corporations, the dances. I watched Frontline to see that they did a story on the Greeks and stuff, and there was a professor how they break it down, who does what, because they do stuff they blackmail. And so that's why you'll see they have the entertainment and the Jews. It's the same thing. Look at how Bernie Sanders just get this week with that health bill, Biden them guys didn't put together, and that's the way for Bernie's going to negotiate with the pharmaceutical company. It's the same shit all over.
Yeah,
it's the same
I agree. No, I agree.
And they act as if people don't know it.
No, I agree. I agree.
I know it. And then I had three race soldiers at my door about 2 hours ago. The police, right? Because my daughter, I was teaching her a lesson about not coming paying my rent on time, right? So she gonna get the police to come let her in. So he tried to get me to come to my house. He can't come to my house. You gotta have a search warrant. He come to my house. He gonna threaten me. I said, you know what? I cussed his ass out. I told him. I said, you're a race soldier. I said, I told my daughter, I said, the officer, you over there, they could have killed you. And you could run to my house. And I barricaded my door. I said, you know what? I said, you can't trick me. I said, the white folks down 2 doors down from me, they call me niggas and everything else and bring ammunition out their house. And I said, I live in a nice neighborhood. I said, they threatened me. You're like, oh, I didn't hear it. I said, you know what? I said, I'm to the point, I have no respect for you. I won't call you. I said, I got my daughter back in the house. I'm going to have a long, she's 25, and she's an assistant basketball coach at Chicago College. And I was explaining to her, but they thought they had me. Thought I was going to be stupid. Let them in my house. I could move fast. I could have been dead tonight. I'm not stupid. But I'm just saying I don't know where we go from here, but I'm just so heartbroken after that. It's just another black man dead. And my politicians, I don't know what to do. I left you an email, and if you need me to help you research and stuff, because I'm retired now. I'm a little sickly, but I can look up some stuff for you in the daytime, whatever. I left my email since your Gmail. If you guys need me to research some stuff, a topic, or send me some stuff, I can do that for you. I can do some volunteer work for you, okay?
Thank you, Vita. I appreciate your call.
I appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you.
And but I'm so hurt. These politicians, it's just so sad. Nobody has no heart, no love. I love my people. I love my black people. I love my people. I care about my people. I care about other people's kids. I was raised like that. And I got so much insight. I can connect all the dots. I'm so tired of hearing the BS. People are hurting on all levels.
I agree. I agree, Vita. I agree, Vita.
Thank you,
Thank you for your call, Vita. We got to do something about this because one of the things that has come through tonight in all the calls is that we have a lot of different calls from a lot of different black people every night, and we don't usually get to all of them. But there was a lot of pain in the calls tonight. I'm affected by it. Like there was and we have to come up with a plan. And just like Vita was saying, she called them the gatekeepers. Whether you call them the gatekeepers or the Black Misleadership class, they're not gonna I call them the Black Misleadership functionaries because they're not a class. They're beholden. They're beholden to a class that exists in the white community, but they're not a class. So I call them the Black Misleadership functionaries, and these are the gatekeepers. Like these are the gatekeepers in the black community, and like they're not actively doing anything. That's why they're not a class because they don't have no money.
Yeah.
Like it's patron
power, but they're not.
It's patronage politics. That's what it is. That's who they are. Like they have to do certain things in order to stay in good stead with the people, with the corporate Democrats. And so how can they do anything for us? And see what I kind of hear from Vita and what I kind of hear from other black people is that I don't care whether you're working for government, I don't care whether you work for the military, I don't care, we have people with corporate America, there's a good degree of pain out there that we shouldn't have this in a country. Well, we're in the richest country in the world. We have done nothing other than the right thing and trying to make this a good place for ourselves all of our lives. And we should not have to deal with anything that's happening. And what has to happen, immigration is one part of it. But, that's one part of the plan. What I'm trying to convince people of right now is that there's no reason for you to have, especially when you listen to these calls, there's no reason for you to have anybody's interest at heart except for the interest of yourself and other African Americans. That is it. That is your interest. To the extent that other people want to ally, then you have to ask, what are you going to do? And what am I going to do? What is this allyship going to look like? But you have to put your interest first in any kind of partnership. That's in the same thing as negotiation. We have to start putting our interests first. That's what we don't do. We like to play this armchair nonsense like it's MSNBC. That's not what's going on. It's not this way. It's a battle out there. It's a battle for resources. And we have to engage that battle with our own interests at heart. It's just like if you're trying to get out of a fire, you don't go around and try to get everybody. You get your family out first, don't you? Like, if that happened, wouldn't you do that? Now, you might want to say, no, I get the person clicks to me. And even if my mama was upstairs screaming, I would get the people right next to me. No, you wouldn't. You would go for your mama. And you would go for your daddy, your sister, your brother. That's just how it is. And that's how it is right now because people are getting serious. I mean, it's getting even more serious. We got climate change. We have, it's only going to, we got to get ourselves together and we got to do it quick. We have to, and part of doing that is it's every day in your mind, what you need to think is that this is my priority is my material interest. And my material interest is the well-being of myself, my family, and my extended African American community. That is my first priority. That doesn't mean I don't love other people. That doesn't mean I won't help where I can. But it means that my first priority is myself and my African American community. We got to get that straight first. If we get that straight, I think we're on the right road to really getting something done for ourselves. We're on the right road to making some positive change for ourselves and really collectively starting to build something that matters. But you don't do it until if we can't get that part, we don't get it. I got somebody on my page, Elizabeth says, about $70 billion is spent on corrections yearly. Prisons and jails consume a growing portion of the nearly $200 billion we spend annually on public safety. Stop telling me that you're not in some kind of fight or some kind of competition. We are. The question becomes, what are we going to do about it? The question becomes, how are we going to strategize? The question becomes, how are we going to organize? The question becomes, what kind of stance are we going to take on issues? I've told you what the stance I think we should take on immigration. I've told you that there's no reason for black people to be in favor of illegal immigration. No way, no how. That doesn't matter. Okay, let's talk about. We're about out of time right now, but we're going to talk about our stance on other issues as well. We got to talk about how we move. The other day when I spoke to you about maybe it's good to at least start a lobbying firm, even though we don't have the same money as other lobbying firms, right? But maybe we can at least put together a media buy to kind of start taking out a few of these politicians, the worst offenders, who have done the least to benefit African Americans, but who got elected on African American votes. Those are just two solutions that we need to start moving in the direction of. But I think before we do anything, we gotta start loving each other and stop demeaning each other. Every time you see somebody who is in a bad way, well, they must have done something to do it. They must have done something to bring this on their own. No, life is difficult. And I think from the calls we saw tonight, life is becoming even more difficult for African Americans in this country. And we have to find systems and strategies to kind of thwart that, and we have to be strategic. And being strategic doesn't mean we love everybody. Being strategic means that we understand that the way this thing is set up, there are winners and there are losers, and we don't want to be the losers. So that's the thought I want to leave you with tonight, is that we are winners and we are not losers, and we need to push for that. Okay?